Here's a thought. In times of stress, we fall back on what we practice most. So when you're watching elite athletes, players who've trained their minds and bodies for every scenario, almost nothing is accidental. So what does it mean when a player like Steph Curry does something that looks, well, wrong? Over the next 15 minutes, we are unpacking a single play, one that might look broken to some at first glance. Because that odd sequence of events, it's not random at all. It's got a name, and it might just be the future of basketball. It's the NBA Finals, Game 4. The year is 2022. The Boston Celtics are up 2-1 against the Golden State Warriors. There's 1 minute left in the third quarter, and the TD Garden is a madhouse. Steph Curry has the ball at the top of the key. The entire arena holds its breath. He drives the lane, the defense collapses, he kicks it out to the near side corner. It's textbook. But then he does something unexpected. At least to anyone who knows the game. He doesn't drift to the opposite corner. He doesn't clear out for his teammate's shot. He runs straight at the guy he just passed it to. And by the time the defense realizes what's happening, the ball is already back in Steph Curry's hands, and he's already shooting.
Curry to Payton. Payton had all the time in the world. Curry three-pointer. Puts it in. 33.
We're not here to talk about that shot or how it cracked the finals wide open. We're here to talk about what happened just before it. A simple two-person movement called the get. It's not flashy, it's not a secret. It's right there, happening in plain sight. And it might just be the smartest, simplest action in modern basketball. Most of the game is easy to spot. Dunks, step backs, heat checks. But the most dangerous thing Steph Curry does, you might not notice.
Back to Steph for the lead.
It's a pass, followed by a sprint, toward the ball. In Europe, they simply call it the handoff. But here, it's called the get. And what Curry is getting isn't just the ball. It's a moment, a window, a crack. Because that's all he needs. The get is one of the most quietly devastating tools in today's NBA. And it tells us a lot about Steph Curry and where the game is headed next.
Curry got him dancing.
Well, they wanted to switch. They wanted to get Russell on him, and they got it.
Reset. Curry. Down it goes again. We are tied at 112.
Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created.
For the win. Yes, sir.
When he get out his car, you better guard him right from the moment he pulls up to the arena.
Steph Curry is arguably the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. More threes than anyone. Off the dribble, off the catch, off balance, in traffic. He can do it all.
3 to shoot. Curry. Left hand.
But what makes him Steph isn't just the shooting. It's the movement. The constant, exhausting, relentless movement. He never stops, and that's where the get comes in.
Walls is on him. Got by Rivers. Good if it goes.
He's going to put it up. You know that.
Who's the most difficult player to guard?
It probably is Steph. It's crazy. You know, you really got to get your rest. You got to be well conditioned because he's going to make you pay. You know, because when you fall asleep or you think that he's done moving or the play isn't for him, and that's when he's gone.
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Steph, there's ever no rest, right? He passed it, he's gone. It's like guarding AI and Rip Hamilton at the same time.
Coming around again. Another three. Just look at the movement.
A style of basketball very popular in the East is the give and go.
That's Coach Frank McGuire from a 1950s instructional film produced by Coca-Cola and the University of North Carolina.
Whenever your defensive man gets a step out of position, a good backcourt man should be able to take advantage of it.
The give and go is one of basketball's oldest tools. You pass the ball, you cut into space, and your teammate passes it back. No tricks, no isolation, just timing and movement.
There are many variations. A lead pass, or a screen and a medium set shot, a loop and a drive for the
But as I'm
basket,
watching this
or a
instructional
change of
film
pace.
from 75 years ago, I'm struck by something. It looks a lot like what Steph Curry's doing. A pass, a cut, a return. So I started wondering, what is everyone talking about? How is this not just the give and go?
I'm Dena Aronowitz. I work at Virtual Repetitions, known as VReps. VReps is a player development software that puts players into a video game where they develop their basketball IQ and make the right decisions on the court.
Full disclosure, I know Dan because he works for VReps, which is sponsoring this podcast. Maybe you'll think this is lazy reporting, but I'm going back to the source because it's Dan who told me about the get.
At its core, the get is really simple. You throw the ball to a player and you go and get it back.
Whereas in the traditional sense of the give and go, you pass and cut to the basket or away from the ball.
The NBA has created over the last 15 or 20 years its own terminology around a lot of this stuff. And some of that has to do with the natural ways that the game evolves. So a get action is a hybrid between a give and go and a dribble handoff.
So if the give and go is basketball's original handshake, then the dribble handoff, or DHO as it's referred to in the NBA, is its modern fist bump. Picture this. Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors has the ball at the top of the key. He dribbles towards Steph Curry, and right as they cross paths, Draymond hands the ball to Steph.
Once you understand what a handoff is, the get becomes easier to visualize. If you have the ball and you're driving at a player to create a dribble handoff, your defender is going to be guarding you really closely. With the get action, you're passing the ball to the big instead of having them dribble at you. So as you come off that handoff in a get action, a lot of times the big defender is not going to be there to help or close out. And that's really the key advantage of a get. There's enough space to get a shot off, or you'll be able to get downhill much easier because there's no help defender pressed up like a normal DHO.
What I'm starting to realize is this isn't just a clever play. It's an evolution, a response to how reactive and connected the modern game has become. Defenses close gaps in an instant. They switch, they rotate, collapse. But this action, the get, it works ahead of all of that. It doesn't wait, it initiates. And in doing so, it launches a player like Steph Curry into something that every scheme, every moment, every cut is ultimately trying to create. Space.
3, 2, 1.
Curry launches a three. It's good. Steph Curry with his third three-pointer. Curry. It's good. Steph Curry from downtown. Curry again. Oh, Steph Curry from way downtown. Bang! Steph Curry drills the three. It's a 6-point Warriors lead.
I think in large part, the game of basketball is about change and momentum. And you can tell that just by listening to a basketball game. You're constantly hearing the squeaking of shoes on the floor. All of those squeaks are because you have basketball players that are exerting a force on their shoe. The shoe is exerting a force on the floor. The floor is pushing back on the shoe. And that's what's causing all of these momentum changes, making players speed up, making them slow down, making them change direction.
That's Graham Giovanetti. He's a professor of astrophysics at Williams College in Massachusetts. And I reached out to him to see if the natural laws of the universe could teach us anything about why the get is so effective.
So there's two things. Okay, so momentum is a conserved quantity. So if you want to change your momentum, you have to exert a force over some time. A change in momentum can also be a change in direction. So a change in momentum could be I'm running at 3 meters per second towards the basket, and now I have to cut 90 degrees and run 3 meters per second towards the three-point line. So even though your speed has not changed, your velocity has changed because the direction has changed, and therefore the momentum has changed. And to do any of those things, to change your direction or your speed, to change your momentum, you have to exert a force.
When they say someone like Steph Curry turns on a dime.
So that would be he can exert a big force over a short time interval, and that induces a big change in momentum.
Okay.
So he can quickly change the direction of his velocity vector by exerting some big force over a small amount of time. And that is aided by the fact that actually he's small, relatively, right? Because he has a relatively small inertial mass, the momentum change for a given change of velocity that he experiences is smaller than Shaq, say.
Right.
Who has a bigger inertial mass. So to achieve the same momentum changes, Steph Curry has to actually exert less force than a more massive player does.
Basically, once your body is moving in a direction, especially at a high speed, it wants to keep moving that way. That's inertia. Changing direction means fighting that. Think about walking down the stairs, keys in hand, heading out the door. And suddenly you remember you left your wallet upstairs. Now stop, turn. Feel that? That extra push you need to go back up? That's momentum pulling against your new plan. Now imagine doing that while chasing Steph Curry at full speed through screens in front of 20,000 people. Now imagine Steph Curry actually has the ball. Every option is terrifying. He could shoot, he could drive. But then he passes. And it would be so natural, so human to relax. But you can't, because it's Steph. He could go anywhere. And all you can do is wait and react.
Curry to Green. Back to Curry. Step back. Three-pointer. Bang! Steph Curry drills the three.
If the get action is making the defender somehow reset mentally, and that means they stop their motion and hesitate, now they're in trouble because they have to significantly change their momentum again to now follow Steph Curry. They have to exert some big force over some short time interval. And by definition, over that time interval, over that time gap, they've now fallen behind the play.
I just want to see if I have this right. Would you say in this context, Steph Curry is a master of momentum?
Yep. So you could say he is expert at applying impulses. He can apply big forces over short windows of time to give himself big momentum changes.
Okay, so Dan, I think I understand the get action now. And I want to know, in your words, why you think Steph Curry is so
effective.
Yeah. Why is Steph Curry such a menace to NBA opponents, especially with the added wrinkle of knowing he can run this action?
The first part is physically, he's so good at moving off the ball. He's such a good screener that as a defender, you're forced to stick with him and you'll see players grabbing him a lot. And the second part is with the get action for Steph, it's so deeply ingrained in what he does that he's always looking for opportunities to run right back off the ball, as you see in the example with Gary Payton. If his defender falls asleep for even half a second and he feels that he'll get a better shot by coming right off a get, he's super willing, constantly running, and that's what makes it so effective.
Let's go back. Game 4, the 2022 NBA Finals. 1 minute left in the third. Boston's up 2. Steph Curry has the ball. When I first watched this play, I thought, it's weird. He passes and then runs right back to his teammate. It felt unnatural, like he was breaking some kind of basketball etiquette. But now I see it in a whole new light. He drives, draws defenders, kicks it out, and then he just keeps going, following his momentum. And here's the thing. When you look at it, he's the only player on the floor who does. The get doesn't break basketball logic. It is basketball logic, stripped down to its most basic natural form. Move fast, know where you're going, and get there before anyone else.
Curry to Pinckney. Payton had all the time in the world. Curry three-pointer. Puts it in. 33 for Steph.
This show was created by MOSH Audio in collaboration with VReps and me, Phil Wall. It was written and produced by me with help from Multimedia producer Dena Kopolovich and executive producer Sarah Hack. Sydney Gladu gave audio notes, and Gary O'Keefe is responsible for the final mix. Huge thanks to Shawn Cooper, Dan Aronowitz, Corbin, and our guest, Graham Giovanetti. To learn more about basketball strategies like the get action, check out VReps Player Development Technology.